Hello and welcome to the Broadway West Vision presentation. I'm Marcus Levygood, Artistic Director and Chairman of the board at Broadway West, and I'm joined here by my colleagues, Patty Berman, who is the Executive Director of Broadway West, as well as Urban Development Director Jim Sartori from Pfeiffer Architects, to tell you about our incredible vision for Broadway and downtown Los Angeles. So let's get started, shall we? All right, so we're going to start with the vision of Broadway West. Broadway West is a 21st century downtown Los Angeles. So from the early 1900s to the late 1960s, the small strip of Broadway between First and Olympic was the entertainment epicenter of the entire world. In Los Angeles' historic theaters sit along this street, the first moving pictures and staged theater was born. It is in this spirit that we create Broadway West and the Bring Broadway West campaign, a local historical arts revitalization initiative dedicated to the preservation and activation of the Broadway Theater District in downtown Los Angeles. So first off, we're going to tell you about what our mission is, our goals, and how exactly we're going to make that happen. So who better to talk to us about what Broadway West means to downtown than Miss Patty Berman, who is not only the executive director, but was the former downtown Los Angeles president. So Patty, take it away.
Well, as you know, we have had rather bad times for the last year and a half, and downtown certainly has felt its share of it. What brings back a neighborhood? What makes it important? What makes it thrive? The arts. And Broadway West is going to bring the theater district of downtown Los Angeles back to life with theater, music, art, dance, nightlife, restaurants, bars, and all the things that make a community sparkle. That is what Broadway West is going to do for us.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Patty. And you know what? We're so excited to have you part of this. But first, we got to talk about the theaters of Broadway West. So the Broadway Theater District is home to the largest concentration of historic theaters in the United States. You can see all of them right there, all on one street. So this will be the theatrical live music, dance, art, and retail hub for the entire Los Angeles metropolitan region. We will fund structural renovations to restore all of the theaters and designate the Broadway West Theater District and provide grants and programming for year-round entertainment. This is going to provide an ecosystem for the arts that will drive economic activity to match New York's billion-dollar annual tourism injection. So what exactly are the goals of Broadway West? First, of course, and foremost is preservation and renovation of our theaters. So this means we're going to provide improvements to revitalize the theaters to attract productions. We're going to apply technical code and ADA upgrades, and of course, acquire a main stage theater with owner-operator status. We'll tell you a little bit about that a little later. So how exactly are we going to activate the theaters? So of course, we have a plan for all of this. So first, we're going to attract independent artists and production companies to fill theatrical seasons through a regular RFP program that will be revolving. We will distribute grants to fund original and revival theatrical productions at all of the Broadway West Theater Alliance venues. Those are all the theaters that we showed you earlier. And we will also provide industry opportunities with educational/vocational school to job pipeline for artists and crew. This is very, very exciting and something that we can get started right away. Also, we are going to sell discount tickets to all of our Broadway West shows and other performance venues via the Broadway West ticket booth that Jim is going to tell you about in just a minute. And what's really exciting that we've been working on right now and working on ongoingly is to officially designate the district. So we are going to obtain a strategic city partnership, an MOU, and designate the Broadway West Theater District as it is with the city. We'll attract investment and develop in the district to stimulate the local economy outside of Los Angeles to bring more development into Broadway. And also we will provide and push through pedestrian-friendly streetscape improvements and transportation options. Jim will tell you that in just a minute as well. We will also produce special events to promote district and attract visitors to the district on an ongoing basis. So designating the district. So we're seeking a strategic partnership with the city via formal memorandum of understanding for the 14 block area surrounding the historic theaters. This is going to provide us with fast track permitting, district level coordination, and economic promotion, working strategically with CD14. And what did the economic impacts look like? This is really, really important, right? So what will this do? So it's going to bring 12,000 to 15,000 local arts patrons and tourist traffic to the district every single day. That's going to bring over $25 million in local tax dollars from ticket sales alone to the area. This is also going to provide a 200 to 400% local restaurant demand increase, providing a $25 million to $50 million revenue windfall for restaurant owners, in addition to a $10 million to $50 million sales tax windfall for the area. Not to mention, this will increase jobs. Over 10,000 new hospitality and sector jobs. And this is just, if we can activate 10 of those theaters we showed you before, this could provide upwards of a $2.5 billion economic boom to the area by 2028. So let's move on to a very exciting project that Jim, our Director of Urban Development, can tell you all about. Jim.
Thanks, Marcus. So we've got a lot of exciting plans that we're doing. One of the first things that we're looking at is building a ticket booth in Los Angeles, somewhere, a strategic location downtown that it's going to attract a lot of tourists and a lot of local people to come and buy tickets. This is something that we're pretty much copying what New York City did back in the day when the theater industry was down at the dumps. They started a TKTS booth that you can see in the upper right-hand side of the screen. Over the years, as you know, Broadway industry recovered and became the multi-billion-dollar industry that it is today. And the exciting red stairs that you see here is a major tourist destination in New York City, in Times Square. We're looking to do the exact same thing in Los Angeles. And we're going to start off by using a shipping container at a strategic location. It's a very cheap, low-cost installation that we can start to sell tickets to many of our partners' shows and other partners around the city of Los Angeles. And it's going to display showtimes and sponsors and advertisements on it. And we are going to be receiving a processing fee for each of those tickets that are sold at the ticket booth. After the success of the shipping container, we're going to do our phase 2, which is our master permanent ticket booth. And this is going to be, as I mentioned, a central location in downtown Los Angeles, somewhere near the metro stations and near other attractions in downtown. It's going to become a public spectacle and gathering place and an iconic Instagrammable location that will really promote the theater industry in Los Angeles. As Marcus mentioned earlier, we're going to be selling tickets at the Broadway West Theater Alliance venues that you can see here on the screen. And as we develop the program further, we can sell tickets to many more partner venues around the city of Los Angeles, but these are the ones that we're starting with now. The theaters that you can see in yellow are open now to some degree, and the theaters in red are the ones that we're looking to help restore. On the left, you can see a list of all of the Broadway West Theater Alliance venues and their current status. Some of them have occasional use and need repairs. Other ones are totally inactive. Some of them are retail venues. One is an Apple store, one is an Urban Outfitters. Other ones are used as dance clubs, and other ones are actually used for theater. All in all, we really want to make sure that all of these theaters are used as their original use, brought back to be used in the arts, not used as retail, and certainly not used in any other way. We want to save these theaters. Membership in the Alliance will help keep these theaters booked throughout the year with Broadway West sanctioned productions. And we're going to make sure there's year-round programming in all of them. Another exciting development is we are trying to improve the streetscape along Broadway, specifically in the historic core of downtown Los Angeles. There's already been some really exciting developments. There's a dry run of the streetscape master plan that's been installed, helping to widen the sidewalks and provide planters and better public transit connections. We want to continue widening those sidewalks permanently, help reduce car traffic, improve accessibility to the theaters, both for people coming via car to downtown, but especially people coming with public transit, creating a larger open spaces in front of the theater, and maintaining, as I mentioned, the important loading and drop off that is required for theaters. This is not just for the patrons that are coming to the theaters, but also having to deal with productions that are coming in and out of the theaters, which is already very challenging given the city grid. Next, please. One of the ways that we're going to improve the connections to the theaters is proposing a Broadway West express trolley that goes around downtown Los Angeles. The route you can see on the map here with the dashed black lines are really similar to what has already been proposed with the electric streetcar project. Our solution, we are looking to follow that similar route going by other major destinations such as the Music Center and LA Live. But we want to do this in a cheaper, easier way, utilizing the existing city grid and metro bus system. We can do this with electric utility vehicles, and we can also partner with a lot of the parking garages that are around the city so that people who can't come by public transit can still come to a designated parking garage and easily hop on a trolley and get off at their theater for the night.
Thank you so much for that, Jim. So exciting. So earlier we talked about events. So of course, Broadway West is going to promote special events to promote each Broadway theater so that everybody understands what's playing and how to get down here. So first of all, we are going to create a night on Broadway West, which is a monthly night of shows on Broadway, closing the street to traffic, opening up the theaters, and getting us back in. This is a developing project, of course, but hopefully we'll be able to start it on a rotating, ongoing basis instead of just once. We're also right now working on the first Broadway West Fest, which will be a Broadway West official summer musical theater festival that will happen hopefully coming this summer. So please watch those calendars. And also, of course, the Omars, which is Broadway West's official award ceremony spotlighting the finest theater in downtown Los Angeles. But last but not least, we believe in our community and of course investing in our community. So partnering with events and sponsorships around the district. We will sponsor sister and collaborative events to widen the brand and reach of Broadway West so that all of us can benefit from Broadway West. So we're going to talk about making that happen, and who better to talk about making that happen, the star of Patty on Broadway, our own Miss Patty Berman. You're muted.
You are muted, Patty.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Marcus. We want a lot of things to happen on Broadway, and we can make it past this slide now. Get me into the really good stuff. There we go. We need to set up our operations. And obviously, like any other good 501c3, we need fundraising and acquisition. And I'd like to show you our timeline. First, though, is operations. We are a public service nonprofit with lobbying and public policy wings. That means that we can take donations and they will be tax deductible. We are looking at competitive granting and submission processes so that we can actually let people who have less money and less opportunity get their performances into the theaters in town. We're hoping that by being competitive with the granting and submission, that we will be able to bring in both minorities that do not often get a chance to produce their products on Broadway, and also children who need to start somewhere, and we're hoping to give them that opportunity. That would be outreach in some of our educational programs. We want to work with as many of the community groups in the downtown area and obviously the Los Angeles area that can bring what we're looking for to downtown and to help them get started. Our structure is pretty simple. We have a board of directors. We have the committees so far are granting, city development, operations, theater company, festival, awards, and editorial. Our advisory board, which we hope to grow as we find more and more people in the area who have the special talents and vision that we want to include. But our advisory board at this time includes contractors, vendors, government, commissions, and community partners. As far as operations, we have an operations director, administrative assistant, digital director, production coordinator, grant coordinator, and accounting and PR and marketing. Committees so far, as I said, social services, awards and festival, an editorial committee which will be the producer of the Broadway West newspaper, city development, operations, and granting, which is going to be a very important part of what we do. And now we get to some of my favorite parts, the community benefit programs. Having been in downtown for 21 years and having been involved with downtown for that period of time, I am very happy to announce the types of programs that we're going to do for community benefit. First of all, the Broadway West Young Musician Externship. Where do we start if not with our young people, those with talent who just need a little bit of help to get going in the right direction? Arts and Corrections is a program that is sponsored by the Sheriff's Department of LA County and the Corrections Department, and it is a place for people who are currently incarcerated to learn the arts and come out with skills that we will be able to use for Broadway West. Homeless Artist Reentry, Rehabilitation and Transition Program, which cutely enough comes out to say HEART, is really important in an area like this where we have such a problem with unsheltered people who need help. This will be a place for these artists to come and learn and get into jobs. And not just the artists, but also all those jobs that are necessary behind the stage, backstage. All of those are things that we can help people get into and get into a really good career path.
Thank you so much, Patty. Very, very exciting, and very impactful. Of course, Broadway West is a long-term 15-year project. It's also a very expensive project. So here we've put together what the operational and asset management financial outlook looks for Broadway West. So first off, we are going to be raising money for a ballot measure. Ballot measure that's going to raise the $1 billion that will fund the entire organization for years to come. First, it will cost us $1 to $5 million for the ballot initiative. That's where our first two stages are. Once we can get past that, our 10-year budget outlook bumps up to $300 million and then $1 billion over a 20-year outlook. What's really amazing about this is that we have two funding routes. Our first funding route that we are working with is a $1 billion public ballot initiative, probably looking at 2024, which we will talk about in just a minute. And then, of course, a funding route number two, which is private funding, which can happen right away. So phase one, if we are going the funding route of the public ballot initiative, which is the route that we are headed on right now, we are going to start our petition campaign to fund a viability study and Q4 2021 base operations of $100,000. That's the phase that we are working in right now. The next phase is to acquire founding donor acquisition to fund the public ballot initiative campaign. So that's that $1 to $5 million we talked about before that will give us the funding to actually initiate the ballot campaign, which means knocking on doors, getting enough signatures to get the ballot on the to get the initiative on the ballot so that it passes. And of course, $5 million in total for campaigning and ongoing fundraisers so that we can raise the awareness of why it would be great for us to pass a public arts initiative. And then, of course, phase number 4, which is the ballot initiative funds at $1 billion, would be created as a $1 billion bond to be used as a trustee-guarded arts endowment fund exclusively for Broadway West operations and grants. So this means that we would place the $1 billion in a arts endowment that every single year on a 2% APR would provide a base and a foundation of upwards of $20 million a year from interest for Broadway West operations for life. That is more than enough money for us to run the operations and get things rolling to really create an amazing theater district. And of course, phase 5, once we have implemented these financial steps, we will then acquire major sponsor acquisition to cover our $10 million annual gap. Now, of course, we're going to start doing this much earlier, but this in line of succession is where the priorities lie. And then starting in phase 6, which is far after, once we start the activation of our theaters, the ticket memberships and ticket sale proceeds, which is the $1 from each ticket sold and 20% of the box, will then provide more than enough funding for us to fund the organization for generations to come. And we are going to be, of course, exploring all funding routes through private donors, city grants, such as the Public Ballot Initiative, private grants, corporate sponsorships, government grants, NGO grants, ticket memberships, and of course, lastly, ticket sales. So, Jim, talk to us a little bit about the preservation and renovation costs of the theaters.
Sure. So one of the things that we're doing on our committee is looking at and studying and taking an inventory of every single theater in downtown. We're working with the theater owners to inspect them and see what major and minor upgrades would be needed to improve the systems and attract productions to come and use the theaters. Some minor upgrades will be needed, such as technical for lighting and audio and different visual production capabilities, but other things need to be done, such as accessibility upgrades, mechanical upgrades, electrical, structural, especially seismic upgrades. So those cost more money. You can see on the left, we've got a log of every one of the theater's current status and the minor and major upgrades that would be needed in the event that we wanted to go through with them, with the theater owners. Many of the minor upgrades are they are minor. Those theaters could be used right now today if we needed to, but they could really use some improved technical upgrades. And really, we have a lot of gems, architectural gems downtown. They need a lot of special care, and that's what we're here for. That's exactly what we do as professionals in the theater and renovation community. So.
And Ms. Berman, let's talk about our timeline. You're on mute, Patty. Talk about our timeline.
I know, you can edit. Thank you, Marcus. First of all, this year, 2021, and next year, 22, is our phase 1 and 2, where we're going to do petition campaigns, viability studies for fourth quarter 2021 and 2022, and the ballot initiative funding. In 23 to 24, we'll be looking at phases 3 to 4, ongoing fundraisers, and the funding of the $1 billion ballot initiative. 25 to 26, phases 5 and 6, start activations of the theaters, phase 1 theatrical upgrades, Broadway West Express, and our ticket booth. 2027 to 28, we hope to have 50% of the activations and phase 2 theatrical upgrades and a street closure. In 2028 to 30, full activation and phase 3 theatrical upgrades.
Fabulous. And the most exciting of all that we are fundraising for right now and seeking for is the Broadway West complex. Phase 1 of the complex we're in right now, which we will acquire the Broadway West Studio Complex. So as you see, beautiful rendering of what that beautiful theater will look like. So we will produce main stage and benefit concerts to uphold the artistic integrity of the district. And this theater will be the heart of the district operations, making this dream a reality for all to enjoy for generations. As you see, not only will we produce productions, but we will also be giving you a peek into the making of every single production, as well as innovative and cutting state-of-the-art live streaming and ways that you can actually be in the theater as well. So thank you all so much for joining us for the Broadway West Vision presentation. And we hope that you will join our mailing list at bwaywest.com, donate, and join us on our mission to bring Broadway West.